Welcome back to John Dawson Disc Golf. Today, I want to talk about something that's happening all over the country right now. Everywhere you go, it seems like people are playing pickleball. The courts are full, the paddles are popping, entire tennis facilities are being converted just to keep up with the demand. And honestly, I get it. By the way, if you're new here, I'm John Dawson. I'm 54. I play disc golf almost every day, and I'm still trying to understand why this game has become such a big part of my life. The funny thing is, I've actually played pickleball a few times, and I really enjoy it. My background includes a lot of racket sports, so the movement felt familiar right away. In college, I played racquetball consistently. Our campus had something like 35 courts, and it was incredibly competitive. I'd play before class, after class, sometimes twice a day. Tennis was another regular sport for me, and I spent plenty of time with badminton and ping pong whenever the opportunity came up. Pickleball feels something like all of these sports blended together. There's the quick reaction and the movement that you get from racquetball, the court positioning of tennis, and the patient touch of ping pong or badminton. Even the kitchen sink rule adds an interesting layer of strategy. My early experience with the game was genuinely fun. In fact, I liked it enough that I once suggested to our community that we ought to convert one of the tennis courts into a couple of pickleball courts. So this isn't a story about me disliking pickleball. It's more about why, despite all the popularity, I find myself walking into the woods with a bag of discs almost every day instead. And if you pass a pickleball facility right now, the energy is obvious. The courts are usually packed. The average age tends to skew a little older than you might expect, which is interesting. There's a strong social vibe. A lot of laughter, the constant pop of paddles hitting the ball. You can feel the competition in the air, but it's a friendly competition. So it's easy to see why people absolutely love it. But when I think about what I want from a sport at this age of my life, disc golf fits me in a very different way. For one thing, disc golf puts me in nature every single day. My background has always included a love for the outdoors, backpacking, camping, hiking through forests, wandering through terrain that feels a little rugged and unpredictable. Being outside has always been a restorative thing for me. Disc golf gives me a reason to step into the woods almost every afternoon with what is basically a rucksack full of discs. It feels less like going to a court and more like going on a small adventure. Every round is different. The terrain changes. The weather changes. The forest changes with the season. One day the ground is dry and dusty, and another day you're walking through mud after a storm. And sometimes you hear birds, sometimes you see deer moving through the trees. Occasionally, you're standing on a hillside throwing across a ravine and realizing you've been outside for 2 hours without noticing the time pass. So there's something about that environment that resonates deeply with me. Pickleball, like most court sports, feels more contained. The boundaries are fixed, the court is predictable, the structure is built into the experience. Disc golf, by contrast, feels expansive. Another difference is how accessible the game is in terms of schedule. Disc golf might be one of the most flexible sports I've ever encountered. You don't need a partner, you don't need to reserve a court, you don't need to wait for a group to rotate off before you start playing. You can simply show up at the park with a few discs and begin. Now, most of the time I play solo rounds. And occasionally I run into someone else doing the same thing and we'll play around together. But if I want quiet time to walk and think and throw discs through the forest, well, that option is always available as well. As someone who leans a little more introverted, that solitude is incredibly valuable to me. Now, pickleball, on the other hand, is inherently social. You're sharing a court, you're rotating with other players, you're constantly interacting with opponents and teammates, and that energy can be fantastic, but it's just a different kind of experience. Disc golf allows a quieter rhythm. Another factor for me is the physical side of the game. Pickleball is fast. There's a lot of quick movement, lateral cuts, sudden stops. The last time I played seriously, I ended up with a pretty bad case of plantar fasciitis that took months to calm down. Disc golf feels very different physically. At its core, it's walking. You're covering terrain, you're climbing hills, navigating trails, moving through the woods. The throws themselves require power and coordination, but the overall rhythm of the game feels lower impact. In many ways, disc golf is just walking with a purpose. I sometimes think of it as gamified walking. And that fits beautifully with the routine my wife and I have built up over the years. We already walk every day. Disc golf simply turns that habit into a game. Well, there's also a deeper layer that keeps me coming back. Pickleball is direct competition. You're playing against opponents, and their skill directly affects the outcome of your game, and that's part of the excitement. Disc golf, like golf, works a lot differently. In disc golf, you're playing the course. You're playing your own form, your own decisions, your own ability to execute a shot. Other players don't determine whether you succeed or fail. In many ways, you're competing with yourself. And there's something about that structure that feels meaningful to me. Each round becomes a small reflection on patience, decision-making, and improvement. The game rewards creativity and persistence in ways that often feel surprisingly similar to the challenges of everyday life. And that doesn't make disc golf better than pickleball. It just makes it a better fit for me. Now, if someone asked me which sport they should try, I'd probably say something simple. If you're looking for a social sport with quick competition and lots of interaction, pickleball might just be perfect. But if you're looking for space, movement, and a quiet challenge that unfolds in nature, disc golf might be the better choice. For me personally, the biggest factor might just be longevity. Every once in a while, I run into players in their 70s or even their 80s still walking the course with a small bag of discs. And every time I see that, I think the same thing. I want to be doing that. Disc golf feels like a sport that can stay with you for decades. As long as you can walk, you can play. And as long as you can throw a disc, the game is still there waiting for you. And when I imagine the years ahead, that feels like a pretty good companion. If this resonates with you, I'd love to hear which sport you gravitate towards and why. And if these conversations are meaningful to you, consider subscribing. I'm exploring these ideas in real time, and I'd be glad to have you along for the journey. Because right now, everyone may be playing pickleball, but for me, the woods are still calling. As always, thank you for being here on John Dawson Disc Golf.